Here we go. Good day. Another episode of Cruising with Phil. My name is Phil the Cruise. My new background. Today I got a special guest. How do I describe her? Strong, athletic, compassionate, humble, courageous, and pink. And her name is Jennie Worden. How you doing, Jennie Worden? Former
Hi,
Canada.
Philip. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know what? I've been waiting for this a long time to meet you in person on live. I tweeted you back and forth through the months. I've teased you a bit, and then I hear my last endorsement before the election was over, and like you got the most hits out of all the videos beside the teddy bears. But honestly, it's so nice to meet you the first time. You know,
So great to meet you finally.
So just tell people who you are, what you're all about, and who you are.
Okay, so I'm Jennie Worden. I am a former candidate in Ward 19 for City Council. I didn't win, but we're all okay with that because it was my first time running and I was running against an incumbent. And I think we're probably going to talk a little bit more about that. Currently, I work for a nonprofit in communications and programming, and I also sing in the Toronto Mendelssohn Choir. I cycle. I'm a proud stepmom. I have cats who may or may not grace us with their presence tonight. And I'm just generally a bit of a cycle-hoyden about town. And I've been, shouting about municipal politics since at least the Rob Ford days.
Oh my God. Okay, the first question, the most important question I got to ask you out of all is, why pink? I'm wearing pink.
Thank you so much. I noticed that. Why pink? No, I like pink. I like a lot of different colors. And mostly what I really love are bright, saturated colors in the world because we live in a city. And if you look outside right now, it tends to be kind of dark and gray for a lot of the year. So
some people wear black all the time, black and gray.
yeah, I know. And like, that's great if that works for you. But for me, I really like bright and saturated colors. I live with my partner, a man, and my stepson, his son. And so for a while, I just made all my things pink so we'd know which things were mine. But it's also a bright and cheerful color. And then when I ran the campaign, I just really leaned into it. I also dyed my hair pink a few years back.
I saw pictures of that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
cool.
and so because it's bright and cheerful and it's a color that works for me, so I really just kind of leaned into this, the pink. When I was creating my campaign literature, I basically eyedroppered my hair to get the color that I wanted for
That's
the
so
literature.
cool.
And I also realized like it was not a color that a lot of other candidates would be using. A lot of people go with blue, go with purple. So if I really wanted to stand out in what turned out to be a very crowded field, bright pink was really a fantastic color for a campaign. Like
I love it.
nobody else had stuff that
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
like it.
so nice and bright. I love it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would suggest candidates consider pink. It's a good color. It stands out. It's bright. It's engaging, and hardly anybody else uses it. Although I might have doomed myself to
Oh,
a
no,
world
yeah. I can't believe. Do you know how much? Do you know what the when I did my last endorsement of you on the video? Were you surprised at all the views you got? Like, and it was like over 500 views. That was the most I ever had on all my videos.
In general, my campaign in Ward 19 was a huge surprise, even to me.
For support wise.
Support wise, I mean, I knew I'd have some support because the reason I ran was that many of my friends and neighbors were looking for a strong progressive voice in Beaches East York. They were looking for someone to support. And we asked all the smart, amazing progressives we could find, and it just wasn't the right time. And then, so I stepped forward to do it. So I knew I'd have some support, but I did not expect the scope of support that I received across the city and within Beaches East York. It was really, really gratifying, really exciting, and really wonderful to see how many people in my neighborhood, in the city, heard and identified with the message of a
And
city
then, sorry, I'm
that
getting
is
that
here
black
for all of
screen
us.
there. Keeps happening to that screen. I don't know why. Does it?
Well, that's
Anyway,
interesting.
yeah, I have before. I don't know what it says. It'll go back. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll go back. Here. It's really funny. When I was doing my canvassing, I did all the wards. I don't know if you know this. I did all the wards twice in my canvassing, and I always asked three questions. One question I asked is, "Who's your big supporter? What candidate stand up for you?" And your name was the only one that came up in Ward 19. Seriously, yeah.
Uh,
And
so
that's what I knew. That's before I did the endorsement. I knew, you know what? Oh my God, that's amazing. That's after I saw your intro. I loved your intro video, and you're the first candidate, I believe, to recognize the natural people of this land and give devotion to them. And that's what stood out for me when I saw your campaign video. I said, you know what, and your platform. Wow, that's the first time I've seen that, and that's amazing. You know,
Thank you.
that,
I mean, that was really key to me, is that I, as a settler, am here on Indigenous land, on the land of the Haudenosaunee, on the land of the Anishinaabe, on the land of the Mohawk and the Mississauga of New Credit. I think I got the name of the Mohawk wrong.
no cue card. Wow.
New Credit. And it's important, it is critical that we not only recognize that, but that we orient our politics around reconciliation for that seizure of land and for the harm that has been done in our names. And you didn't do the harm, I didn't necessarily do the harm, but it was done in our names. And it was important for me to benefit from that, to acknowledge that, and to acknowledge that I've benefited from it in the time that I've been here, as a settler.
I like how you're a settler. We are all settlers, right? Immigrants, we're settlers. You know, we're not the. I always say we call it Indigenous people. I like saying the original people. That's what I was. Even my friends in the military, I said, "You're original people." I always tell my buddies that. So it's amazing. I like all your books around. I'm a book reader too. Behind you there. Is that
so
real?
my little office here. This was part of the campaign headquarters for my campaign. And you can see my umpteen-thousand thank you notes to all the supporters, which are going out just as soon as I finish writing the last of the cards.
So nice. I wrote thank you cards to all my endorsers and all my support. I did that. Yeah, so nice. Yeah. It's important, Yeah.
Ours are handmade.
Oh wow. Wow. Yep. That's so nice.
Reflecting the grassroots nature of my campaign, I block printed over 200 of these cards.
Wow, that's nice. I love it. Hand done. It's nice. I love hand done stuff.
Yeah.
One of your tweets you mentioned, and you're walking with your friend on some house had some sort of a sensor light or whatever.
Yeah.
I was laughing. I was in one of my joking moves. I was gonna reply, but I'll get in trouble. My response was, hey Jenny, why don't you get your car? I'll lend you my nephew's remote control car. Go sit in your car in the distance, run the car back and forth.
My car? Philip, I don't drive.
No. I'm just saying, go sit in the car and get the remote control and run the car back and forth in the driveway. So the guy will come out, like, what's going on? Looking for people. Then you put the car into the porch and he walks back in and you put the car on.
Yeah.
A little joke here and there, Yep. That's so funny. So you decided to run the election because you look around for other people that are candidates, and and did you have it? Well, when you're looking around, did you have in the back of your mind you want to do it, or did you just say I'm going to do it?
That's an interesting question, and there's no real clear answer. The answer is I had been thinking about running for city council for decades.
Really? Okay.
But I felt that there must be somebody better. There must be somebody better out there. There must be somebody more qualified. There must be somebody who, has more experience with budgets. There must be somebody who is more in touch with communities that need more representation on city council. Why would it be me?
That says right there, you're the best candidate. When you think like that, somebody better than you can do a better job, you're the candidate. That's what I say. Philosophy.
So, and so I asked all the people that I knew, and I know there's, even after this campaign, there's a lot of people in Beaches, East York. I don't know yet. There's probably somebody amazing out there. In fact, I met some amazing people who I think our city needs in the course of this campaign. But none of them were appearing, and it was getting close to the end of nominations. So I said, what do I possibly have to lose? At the very least, I will know that I can talk about the issues that are important to me. I can talk about them from a perspective that I don't feel is being represented. And the people who are like me, who are looking for somebody who has a strong, city-loving, progressive agenda, will have somebody to vote for. Maybe I'm not the best person, but I'm here right now. And if somebody better comes along, great. We can have a wonderful discussion and we can support each other. Yeah. So I put in my nomination papers. I rode around the ward getting signatures on the nomination papers.
When did you put your name in? End of August or
middle of August? I want to say August 14th. I'd have to fact check that to be exactly sure. But
I heard your name mentioned before. I heard your name mentioned back in July. I've heard your name mentioned a few times through the grapevine.
Well, so I've been active on Toronto Poly Twitter for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I did talk to some people in Toronto politics, just, under Super Rosa, just to, sound out, do you guys think I could do it? Would it be worth running? I did talk to my partner about it, and then he went away on a training course for 5 weeks. And when he came back, I was a registered candidate.
That's so funny.
So that's how he spent the rest of his summer vacation, was being an amazing support for me. And I built a little Google website sitting on my couch late at night with my cats, put up what my platform was on it, dropped off my nomination papers.
What's the name of your cats? I don't know.
Sorry?
Your name of your cats? Oh, a cat
Oh,
lover
my
too.
cats. They're not here right now, but there's 3. There's Musetta. She's orange and fluffy.
Oh,
And I
nice.
said that she was the intern in charge of naps, I think. There's Chloe. She's a tortoiseshell and she's very noisy. And I can send you photos that you can put into your video.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
There's a so Chloe, she's my tortoiseshell. She's very noisy. So she was in charge of bedtimes. And Fafnir, he's my little white guy, and he's afraid of everything. So we made him the intern in charge of threat assessment.
That's so cool. I love it. I had 3 cats too. I know. And they're all. I had 3 cats that are all the same. They're all what do you call them? Cheshire cats. Cheshire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they're all exactly the same. Each one, not just by coincidence, just happened to get 3 just years ago. So it's funny. Hey, you have a gift. You have a gift of nature. Dude, don't you?
I do?
Well, I'm thinking, yeah, I got a vibe off. You got a good. I'm like, I got to think with nature. I got to think off you about nature. You with the cats before that. Just you can tell off people some appreciation of nature. Um,
Mm.
you can tell by the way, just the way you present yourself, just the way you talk about your animals and all, and also respect the people land. Because respect the people land have the respect of the nature. They use nature for not for pleasure, but for survival. I've watched so many documentaries and all, but yeah, you have a gift of nature. You got a gift of nature. I don't know if you want to admit it.
I wish it were summer, because we could be doing this video and I could be showing you my pollinator garden.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
Yeah, we put a pollinator garden in our front yard. Fortunately, my landlords gave us permission to do that, which is really nice, because the lawn was useless. It was tiny and we just had to keep mowing it. And that front porch is where we did a lot of my campaign work this summer.
You've done. I looked at your campaign, trying to remember it all because you tweeted all, got a little deleted. But you've been before this. You've been an active member of the, being a volunteer, helping the community, helping people up for years, as I remember, as I recall.
Yep.
Looking back at your, so this is not like new to you. It's not like I'm gonna go.
No, and I will say that that's part of why I think my campaign gained the traction that it did, is that I have been sort of on the fringes of Toronto politics for a very long time. I was active with Women in Toronto Politics back in the Rob Ford years. I helped put together the position primer, which was an incredible project at the time. I have, been involved in various protests. I've been involved in EastEnders Against Racism here in Beaches, East York, and around the East End. So I have met a lot of people during that time, and that's given me a lot of connections in the community and given me the opportunity to work with a lot of people. And then most recently, I've become involved with ACORN, the anti-poverty group.
Oh my gosh, that people are suffering. It's so sad. When I watched, I know people in Acorn. I just hear the stories. I'm like, really? Why is it taking 16 years? Seriously, like they just talk. I don't know if you watch the news just now. They're talking about the opening up the warming centers. They want to they want to reduce the temperature according to the standard law, whatever. I said, you know what? Open the thing up. You got doctors out there. You got 2 nurses there. You got doctors complaining about their patients suffering the cold. Some are dying in the streets. I mean, just lower the temperatures. And they say it's also a case of freezing rain and snow is a different story. I said, you know what? Just weather is all weather. It doesn't matter. You could be warm out there, you could be freezing out there. Just lower the temperature, get them in there. Now they're debating about what's the debate about? It's simple facts, it's so simple. Lower the temperature, get them in there. So simple, right?
That's just it. And the fact that we even need warming centers is
it's pathetic.
Kind of, it's a sign that we failed, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we wouldn't need warming centers if everybody had a safe, long-term, affordable home that they could be in. Yeah. But we have systemically underfunded our housing. We have systemically underfunded our shelter systems, and now we have people on the streets freezing in sub-zero temperatures and in these highly variable, very dangerous temperatures, and not just, and it's not just uncomfortable. We're talking about people who are losing parts of their bodies
Yeah, they're
to
just
the
talking
cold.
about that. Then one of the nurses, one of the doctors said that one of his patients actually went to Walmart. I don't know if he busted something, whatever, and he got arrested on purpose, and they got sent to the hospital in cuffs just to get some food and shelter. I mean, that's just sad, right? You know,
It's sad and it's inefficient,
you
right?
know.
The police are expensive.
Oh,
Hospitals are expensive. Our emergency system is overburdened. And I do not begrudge anybody seeking warmth in the hospital if that's all that's available to them. But the fact that that is all that's available is deeply inefficient. It costs much less to open up a warming center.
yeah, it said they
You
cost
have
like less than
empty
a million.
civic
It said
centers.
the whole like all year round, less than $1 million. You know,
Right
it's
down the
really
street from me is East York Civic Center, and it is
yeah
not being used right now. It's empty.
empty, right? Yeah, I know. I saw that. I drove by there not too long ago. It's really funny if you think about it. Their lives depend on the thermostat. If you think about it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Depending on the thermostat, where it goes up and down, so many lives are lost. I mean, I just thought about this morning about that whole scenario, right? So it's nuts. So yeah, even I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna pick your brain.
Sure.
When you started volunteering at a young age, I'm not gonna age it. I know you've been volunteering a long time. What was the first time you realized as a volunteer, did you get some good feedback, putting your initiative and your aid and your assistance when something came back to you or something happened, you said, you know what, it feels good doing it. I'm gonna do some more. Do you remember that?
Oh gosh. That is a really interesting question, in part because I am not a spring chicken.
I know.
So, my earliest volunteering days, Phil,
Yeah.
were with the Girl Guides
Okay.
when I was like 10, 11, 12.
Okay. So like something about the community that you did maybe for something in the community or maybe the community itself or something you did. Do you remember? Do you call back? I remember my first time being a volunteer for something to do with the community and just like, you know what, it felt good getting that feedback and just felt good doing something for somebody. I want to do some more.
It was when I was a teenager. I worked as a candy striper at Sunnybrook,
Oh, nice. That's
and
nice stuff. Yeah, yeah. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
I
know.
lived up in Willowdale, so that was close to home. And part of my job was running errands for patients and talking to patients. They need somebody to get them a magazine because they couldn't get out of bed, just adjust the blinds, play checkers, whatever. And what I learned was that, number one, I really like connecting with people. And number two, it was very rewarding to be able to, make that connection with people and make their day a little bit easier and a little bit better by getting a magazine or going to get some popsicles with, appropriate you know, medical approval of the popsicles, because he didn't want to give anybody a blood sugar attack or anything. And that was part of the kind of citizen I wanted to be. And I also learned that like helping people is great, but for me, where I shine is where I can make connections with people,
That's so nice. And
where I
just
can
your
talk to people, reach out, have a conversation, find out what's on their mind. So that was really, the beginning. It wasn't until quite a bit later in my life that I started thinking about um, the kind of citizenship or the kind of activism that you need in order to create systemic change. You can make somebody's day better, and that is a wonderful thing and a gift to them, to you, and to the world. But some things take more than just nice feelings. And that's where that came later, when I started to get involved with Women in Toronto politics in particular and look at the systems and the challenges that had led Toronto to elect two successive Rob Ford governments, where it really felt like people were voting against their own interests. They were voting for a city that didn't want to support its residents, and I couldn't figure out why. And I don't know if you remember those campaigns.
Yep.
There was some real nastiness
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in
The
those
phone call.
campaigns.
You
Yeah,
know, the
yeah.
name calling and the yelling
The
screaming.
name call, the racial slurs, the misogyny, the rhetoric directed specifically against women of color who were campaigning.
That's my pet peeve. Get me going about. You know what? I'm old school, brought up with my parents. My mom's Irish, my dad's Spanish, and you never, in public, even private, you never say anything foul about a woman. Like a couple weeks ago, there was a known pod. I'm not gonna say who it is, but he addressed Kathleen Wynne with the F word in the front of it, and I said, you know what? That's on a public pod, and I don't be so my tweets. I was so mad about it. I said, you know what? He doesn't know her. regardless of that, you don't call any woman any name on any public. That's why like I make videos. I did my campaign. I made cuts about all the counselors, all the guys I attacked. For the women, I just had little light jokes, but I never any. There's no reason for misogyny. There's
No,
inexcusable.
go after me or any other woman on policy,
Yeah,
on preparedness, on anything that is within our control that is relevant to the job that we're trying to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I put myself out there, and any other woman I know would say the same thing. We put ourselves out there, we embrace policies, we talk about the city that we want. That is open for discussion, but we don't reduce it to identity. And I don't think we should do it with men either,
No.
with anybody, because
Yeah,
there's plenty to discuss on a political level, sticking to
Right.
policy, idea, research, facts, statistics.
I think it's when you attack a woman, like you see some celebrities, like what happened to Jennifer Valentine. I'm going to be blunt. These are insecure men. They're just pieces of crap. They have to demean a woman or demoralize, can't say the word, just insult a woman to make her feel less because they're insecure. They can't handle that a woman is equal to them or above. I serve with women in the armed forces. I swear, I wouldn't be, I tell people in my video, I wouldn't be right here if I wouldn't have saved my life. 5 of us. Can't tell secrets, kill secret, but she's put her life on the line, saved 5 of us because of her courageous and her valor, right? So I say that, like it's an insecurity. It's basically Valentine. What happened to Jennifer? I made a video with that. I was quite blunt about that. Also, what happened to what's her name? The reporter. Oh gosh, I can't remember her name.
There have been so many. So
No, the one that street, the one that got fired by CTV. Oh, I can't remember her name.
Lisa
Lisa, like that. You know what? I wish I could. I want to meet her one day, because I'm gonna tell. Like in the armed forces, people don't realize that when you're a foreigner overseas, you miss your home so much. And we're in a Bosnia, 5 of us from Toronto, in a truck outside guarding, and they used to broadcast Lisa Fam from CTV to English. Back then they had old computers back there. It was all broadcast from Toronto to England to Germany to us. And we used to get the replays. And we had like that went on for like weeks. Hey, Lisa's coming out. Let's get the coffee going and all that stuff. And it was just audio. We could just hear her. We can't no visual, but we could just hear her voice talking about Toronto. And you know what? It just felt so nice hearing about home Toronto from Lisa LaFam. So we became Lisa LaFam, Jennifer Valentine fans, the same scenario. All these women reporters out there, I hope they realize one day your voice made such a difference to guys like us serving the armed forces and women overseas. And we say, you know what? Hey, Kathleen's on, Jennifer's on. We got her. And Jennifer used to be on City TV doing all the jokes. I remember I was in Europe and she was doing this fun thing with the hair, hair show, or music about hair. And she did this whole skit there, and we were killing ourselves. We used to say Jennifer's on. So when we hear years later on, like what happened to them, Jennifer and Kathleen, all the stuff they went through with men, I said, you know what? That's our family. Unofficially, that's family for us. Like you guys, like you. If you need when you do something with our forces or anything like that, your family automatically. Like don't touch Jennifer. You know what I mean? We get very defensive about that. Sorry.
Well, as well you should, because here's the thing: it's not the same. And I've spoken to a lot of women reporters and women journalists who are subjected to online hate and harassment, and it doesn't just stay behind the screen. Right? There were real world repercussions for Lisa LaFlamme. There are real world repercussions for Sabah Itizaz, or for Nora Loreto. There are real world repercussions. And Laura's a tough cookie. Sabah's a tough cookie, but it does wear people down, and it does lead to a chilling effect in our media, where people leave those roles and we lose their voices. And the same thing happens in politics, because it wears people down over time, and because we know that it's not always just speech, right? It's not somebody just critiquing you or calling you a name. It can and it has translated to real world violence.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't want to live in a world where we're losing amazing voices to small-minded, insecure. You're right, insecure
men. Exactly. Like look at Jennifer Valentine. They know what was going on with this guy. He's a piece. I'm saying it right now. He's a piece of crap. I say it again. But she went through all that, and she was a celebrity too, mind you. She's been a celebrity on CTV for a while. but they kept her on, and they went through, and they know what's going on, all because he was high ranking. So they'd rather get the ratings in, right, and let her go
Mhm.
through all that crap just to keep the ratings up for the show. That was more important, right? That just tells you something about the show itself, not just the guy itself, but the show itself. All those
Mhm.
people that supported that until she made her statement.
Yep.
When I saw her statement, I was like, you know what? It gets me mad. Just like this guy should go to jail. But this is another thing. The laws are so lenient. When women accuse men of rape, well, you see what happened to especially the musical celebrity there. They have to go
Mhm.
through this whole rigmarole. They got to prove, like, okay, 5 women say he's done it, but now the judge says, okay, he's going to lenient the guy. So those 5 men are making it up. They all got together and made it up. Really, come on, it's common sense. That's where the laws got to change. The laws are too lenient. And also, not my other thing I asked when I see some of the counselors, like this year I saw a lot of like women candidates like yourself, so strong candidates. And I said, you know what? This is the first year I've seen in a long time that so many women candidates are I saw the platforms like yours that's so strong. And here I said, I want to see, well, if you get in, I'd love to see you do books. Write a book about, even a book like being a counselor, how women changed counselor. I said this before in the video, how women saved the city of Toronto just by their influence. There's a town I read about, some book about a small town, and she was a mayor, and there's no book about it, but I saw her bio in her the obituaries, and just that I saw her family picture and all this. She did all this change for this one town. I can't remember the name of the town. One town. She did all this
Mhm.
change, and I only know because I just saw her name. I mean, that's a book. That's like a story right there. But we don't have enough like that. We don't have enough women, even a platform like saying like, I mean, is there any platform out there or any kind of website that says these women right now, include yourself, are out there making a change? Not just because they have to be nominated, but they're just making a change. There's nothing out there. You have to go search for it. Like you said, you got to go search for all that.
Well, we have a gender equity office at the City of Toronto. It is currently underfunded and has not been able to proceed with its work.
I wonder
We
why.
have amazing women in council. Some of them are brand new, so I'm really looking forward to what we're going to see
Yeah.
from them. I'm really looking forward to seeing what many of our new councillors are going to bring. And I think it's not just being a woman, it's having a council that fully represents the diversity, the makeup of this city, where everybody is bringing their background and their experience. There are things that I would have been able to bring to council, not just as a woman, not just as a stepmother, but also as somebody who's been a lifelong renter, who has a perspective
That's right.
of housing insecurity that people who own their homes don't necessarily have. Also as somebody who, has worked in the arts for over a decade
Oh yeah,
in
that's great.
performing
Ah,
arts.
forget
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about that. Yeah, you're quite
And
the
I have
artist. Yeah.
ideas about what we need to be a vibrant city that supports artists and supports a lively cultural scene. And it isn't just funding for the arts, surprise, surprise. It's
Yeah.
also affordability so that artists can afford to live here and they don't up and move to Hamilton or Guelph or, I don't know, Winnipeg, some other place where they can afford to live. It's adequate childcare and adequate support, educational support. It's, enough well-paid jobs that people can have a side hustle and still make art. It's parks and performance venues and places to do the things that you love, and to share your art as well. And it's after school programs and training programs so that we can raise the next generation of artists in a way that celebrates their skills and allows them to develop and blossom. But none of that can happen if housing is unaffordable, if transit is unaffordable, if the city is a hostile, cold, mean-spirited place.
There's so many empty buildings down. I was doing my canvassing. One of my things I want to do if I got elected was to get some of these old buildings, like not old, but downtown, like turn to an art hub. I had
Mm-hmm.
a design. I do designing, and I had a like art. It was a place you could rent as an artist, something for cheap, like a couple of bucks. Go rent a room or a studio. Go there. You could also put your art on display. Also, an emporium for kids to come and do curriculums. Like it's like having like an art daycare, basically. And it's an emporium, and the government runs it, and the money that they make, whatever they do in their sales, a little bit goes to back to the city, right? But it's still money in their pockets.
I would love to see us fostering open studios so
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
people who live in very small places, because a lot of the time when you're an artist, you don't have a lot of money.
No,
You
no.
live in a small place, and you can't necessarily you don't necessarily have the space to work on your art or your craft. I would love to see us funding more open studios where you can, show up with your art, maybe rent a locker to keep your stuff in, work on your thing, and not have it cluttering up your tiny studio apartment.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see us have even, the city owns a lot of spaces. We own 3 civic theaters.
Yep.
We own a number of arts hubs. We own clubhouses. We own community centers. There is no one centralized database of spaces for artists.
No, I
So
kind
for
of
example,
agree.
if I want to hold a rehearsal of, let's say, a wind octet, because I'm a classical musician, so I need a place that has decent acoustics, decent light, can fit, a wind octet, and is available at times and has good soundproofing, so we're not going to get bleed through from the street. There's no way for me to find that other than contacting a bunch of individual places individually.
Yeah.
There's a central data. I can maybe contact the libraries. I can maybe contact the community centers, but I have to do each one individually until I find a place that's available that we can afford. If I want to run a swing dance party, I have to go through each individual place and figure out what kind of floor do you have? How late can we stay open? What kind of music can I have? What kind of sound system do you have? We have a database for recreation centers, like for swimming and sports. We don't have anything like that for the arts. And that is one thing that every artist I have spoken to has said.
If you make like a web, like you said, all that stuff, you said, like go on your website, okay, this so Lawrence Center has this. What kind of art? What do you do? What do you do? This is what this room has. What barrier, whatever difference, it's so easy. It's a website you can just create. It saves you time, like you said, going through all the different places, finding what you need. You go on the website, it says right there. We have it I lived in Montreal 2 years. They have that. They have art hubs in Montreal.
Yep.
There's 52 buildings downtown Toronto that are empty right now. Empty, and they're perfect for art hubs. You don't have to renovate them. They're all big empty rooms. They're big, like big lots, big meeting rooms, and they're soundproof because they're all offices, So I got about, sorry.
So when we're talking about, bringing multiple perspectives to council, this is what I'm talking about is that we bring all of our identity. I bring my experience as a woman, but as a white lady, I'm not going to have the same experience that.
You're white? I thought you're pink. Okay.
Pinkish beige. But, I'm not going to have the same experiences that somebody who has, a different skin color has, who has a different way of living, a different cultural background has. And all of those perspectives can lend richness to our policy making.
Like yourself, you got your single mother, stepmother, right?
Yeah.
Stepmother, right? Artist,
yep.
Right? Community helper. You've been through the grassroots. You've been through your background. You got like 5 things right there. Bring it to the city hall.
Cyclist. No, I don't drive, so I get around the city on a bicycle and on transit.
See, and all like what people don't wear in the car. You know all the hubs. Like I was talking to Robert. I had a interview with Robert Zakowski about that. As a biker, you see all the different things that people in cars don't see, right?
You move through the city very differently.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, especially hills. I got about 4 minutes left, so continue talking. Then the next one starts in about 15 minutes, but we can always go on. I think you can, if I start early, you can just start on right after. So when I kick off here, just climb on the next one right away.
Sure, I'm going to go grab a glass of water and then I'll kick on to the next one.
There's drinking in this episode? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Very, very lush water.
I was going to ask, what do you play?
I sing in the Mendelssohn Choir.
Are you kidding? What do you sing? Like what part?
I'm a soprano.
Oh, really?
And we just finished a series of performances of Mozart's Requiem at Roy Thompson Hall with the Toronto Symphony and conductor Michael Francis, who is a British guy who's living in Florida right now, and he travels around. It was stupendous. So that's and I worked for the Mendelssohn Choir for 4 years. I worked for an orchestra for 5 years. I'm now working for another nonprofit. So yeah, when I talk about like looking for rehearsal space, that's a huge part of what my life has been.
Wow.
It's like trying to figure out where we're going to put a rehearsal, where we're going to put 50 musicians.
Why can't they just rent the Roy Thompson Hall? It sits there empty half the time.
So expensive.
So
expensive. Plus it's a union hall.
Oh, okay. It's union.
Yeah. So, and like for a rehearsal, you don't need a concert hall. What you need is just a big room with good acoustics and good light.
What about some of the, there's a whole bunch of churches, like old Catholic churches,
Well,
there's a lot
yeah, the churches are great, but again, like if you're looking for one space, you have to go through each of them individually and know which ones
yeah,
are good, which ones aren't good. So I mean, I found good spaces. Hope United here in the East End is fantastic. It's one of my favorite churches to rehearse at.
the church,
Um, we run a dance out of St. Barnabas on the Danforth, one of
okay,
my
yeah,
dance groups. Yeah. So like I'm familiar with all of them, but it's still silly that somebody who's, for example, new
yeah,
can't say, I need a rehearsal space for 50 people in the city of Toronto. Type it in, find it,
yeah,
find it if it's available and go.
yeah, just like that, bang.
Yeah.
So I got 2 minutes left, so before I start, oh, you're gonna go have your water, right?
I'm just
And
gonna go grab a glass of water from the kitchen and I'll pop back in
I love
after.
music. I love hearing. See, I can't play with beans, but when I was in the military, I told my story before. I have low frequency hearing.
Hmm.
So, like, I mean, if you ask what that means, it means like because my junior, I went my trade as a radar tech and sonar and decrypto, and because I can hear things beyond the human comprehension. Like I can hear. They tested me many times. Yeah, but they say I got dog level hearing. So
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah, I got to give examples. But you know what? Like my left ear, like even like when I'm sick and I got the flu. I hear everything, and it's just like a brain rush, and I
Hmm.
can't cut it off. Like I hear every sound, like I literally like
Hmm.
anything banging next door, I can hear everything. So I got 1 minute left. So I'm gonna hang up here, and we'll come
All
back right
right,
away. We'll get your water, and we'll talk more about
shooting.
politics.
We'll see you in a
Yeah.
minute. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And that there, and